Kind of. Oh, hey, we're live. Okay, and I think it'll tell us when somebody joins us.
Looks like you can like type down at the bottom.
Yeah, this is a live
chat.
so this is a live chat. So we can put in questions here. I'm just gonna say hello, even though we're the only ones on here right now. Technically it starts in 5 minutes, but that's cool. I'm gonna go see about some questions from somebody. Oh, right now there are 3 people on.
Oh, cool.
Hey, if you're on, say hello in the chat. Tell us who you are. I have a couple of questions that people have sent me on like Instagram that I'm going to go get. Hey, Greg. Where are you from, Greg? Oh, Columbus. Great. Oh, Ron, are you the one that's from Meade? Where are you from, Meade County? No, that may not be you. Oh, Mishawaka. I know Mishawaka. Excellent. I've always wanted to do the South Bend, the whitewater rafting run that they have. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. We're going to technically get this started here in a couple of minutes, like on the official start time, blah, blah, but just want to get it rolling. I've actually never done a live feed, so yeah, this is going to be fun. East race, yes. I think you have a good brewery there in Mishawaka, actually. I don't know what it's called, but I remember seeing a Mishawaka beer possibly out there in the world. I'm a huge beer fan. We all know that. I'm not drinking a beer right now. I'm drinking a fancy LaCroix. Oh, you just found my channel today. Whoa, so you're doing it in September. That's when we did it. September was perfect. Perfect. I mean, it was perfect for the CNO. Like, we didn't have a single drop of rain on the CNO. Not one. And we actually didn't have any downed trees either, because a tree crew went through right before we went on the trail.
Even though there'd been a hurricane, 2 weeks beforehand?
Yep, there was a hurricane a couple weeks beforehand. It's fun. Oh, you're going to do it in August. August will be nice too. It'll be warm, but at least you'll have the one nice thing about the Gap in the CNO is, I mean, the tree canopy is so good. Like, you're rarely in open spaces. So at least you have that. And if you want to, you can jump in the Potomac.
Yeah.
Or the other rivers on the Gap that I can't pronounce.
Yeah.
Well, on the Gaps, since you'll be up in the mountains a little bit, it'll be a little cooler up there, because it definitely was like Frostburg, and there it was definitely cooler.
So, go through some nice cool tunnels too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we will get this thing started right now, just to get it started, because it's fun. You did the Gap. Oh, last April, cool. Oh, right. I don't know what to do about if it rains the entire trip. We haven't experienced it. We're the good weather. So if you travel during the same time we do, we get really good weather. So we definitely like that. Yeah. So we're going to get it started because we've now got 5 people on here. I'm so excited. If you don't know, I'm Denise with Denise Looking Out, and I have a passion for bike packing. I have a lot of trips that I want to do in this lifetime, but we just did the Great Allegheny Passage and the Canal Towpath. This is Katie. She's my partner in crime when it comes to riding a bicycle. Either she talks me into doing really stupid, crazy things, or I talk her into doing really stupid, crazy things.
It's true.
So we kind of bounce off each other on what kind of mischief we get into.
Yes.
Some of that involves trespassing occasionally, so it's pretty fun. So we did the Gap in C&O in September, and if you've watched my videos, that I think I put 11 videos out.
Yeah.
So I don't know, something like that. And I'm actually going to do documentaries of each. So I'm going to do a full documentary experience of just the C&O and a documentary experience of the Gap. I have actually a lot more footage of the C&O than I do the Gap, because the Gap was later and the weather wasn't as good when we were up in the cloud.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. And then I had stomach bug of some sort one day. So the Gap, I didn't get to record as much on the Gap. So I have those videos where we went, and I showed you each day on the trail. And I did a little video beforehand on kind of the preparation for getting ready to do the Gap in C&O. So if you haven't checked that out and you're getting ready to do the Gap in C&O, go back and look at that. I'll probably put a link in this timeline somewhere to make it happen. But so it was a lot of fun. I had a freaking blast doing the Gap in C&O. Now, I'm not going to tell you it wasn't hard, because every day was hard in one way or the other, but it was so much fun. And we going to tell you, we make it harder because we want to camp. We camp the entire time, so we lug a lot of gear on the back of our bike and do it that way, because I think that's the funnest way to do it personally. I like the camping aspect. I like being out on a trail. I like experiencing the trail portion of it. We really didn't do a lot of the town things because COVID, it was Delta variant. It was there was still a lot of fear going on at that time. So camping, you're going to camp, Ron. Yes.
Yeah.
Good. And we're not light. I do not have a lot of light gear. We do not have feather light, we have backpacking style, tents and things, but they're still heavier because they're not, I'm not going to spend a fortune on a tent. So mine are still heavier. I actually took my winter sleeping bag, because I didn't know what the weather was going to be like. They had said it was going to be cooler on a couple of the nights. And I was like, well, I don't want to take my 45-degree bag if the temperature is going to drop below that, because then I'm going to be in trouble. So I took my heavy winter bag, and I ended up just using it as cushion because it was hot. It was warm in September. It was we did it, September 11th through the 18th.
Yeah.
19th. Yeah. And it was really, really warm. The entire time.
And the hiker biker sites were so amazing. I remember as we were planning the trip, I thought, are they really just going to be these free sites we can camp?
Probably tell her,
And then I worried that there'd be a ton of people, because it seemed like September would be such a popular time, but we never had a problem finding places. So.
Now, we approached it very differently. So I'm a geek, and I watched every video I could on doing the Gap in C&O. I watched every video. Some people are putting out really bad videos. I still watch every bad video of the Gap in C&O because I wanted to see what they were experiencing. Katie went in blind. She didn't want to know anything.
Yeah, I just enjoyed experiencing it as we went. So.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. How are the bugs on the trail?
There really wasn't that. I don't remember
September.
At all.
No, we didn't have. It wasn't buggy at all. And they had just had the hurricane come through, so there were actually some spots of water off the trail, but I did not notice mosquitoes or anything.
Problem.
I think I doped up on mosquito spray that first day, and then after that, I never used mosquito spray after that because it just
It really wasn't bad. I thought it'd be worse.
Yeah. Especially when you have a water and a canal on one side. I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be gross.
It might be worse during the summer.
Yeah. Now, if you're going in August, like on the Gap, you're probably going to have a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
But September was good. Oh, hi guys. Nice to see y'all joining in. Hello to the new folks on here. Let's see here. We have somebody says, okay, so I'm going to read some of these real quick just so I can see what's going on here. Okay, we did the Gap in. Okay, so Ron's planning on camping, and we answered the bug question. And then let's see here. Hello, have done a few sections of the Gap and love it. I need to pack the whole thing. Yes, you absolutely need to pack the whole thing. It was amazing. And it actually doesn't take that much time. Like, now I will say, like, even though our videos are 8 days, we actually did it in about 6.5. Because we had really short days on the first day and the last day. And that was just for logistics. Because when we went into DC, everyone says the train's late into DC. Everyone says it's late. It was late coming out of Pittsburgh, but it made up its time. And we actually got into DC almost on time.
We did, yeah.
But we also didn't want to hustle and bustle to get to that first hiker biker site, because the first hiker biker site was way out from DC.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that. So that's how we ended up at an Airbnb that first night. And then when we got to the end, we stayed at the last hiker biker site going into Pittsburgh, which meant that last day on the trail was like super short day. So 6.5 days, it can be done. So, all right. Professional bike riders. Ooh, nice name. Planning to start in DC to Pittsburgh, then turning left to finish in Illinois. Oh man, that sounds like an amazing trip. Okay, so are you going to take almost are you going to do like the Great American Rail Trail route? Is that what you're going to do? Because if you do, you got to go through the Cardinal Greenway too, which is my hometown trail.
It's a lovely trail as well.
I know. I always geek out on the Cardinal Greenway. I want everybody to go try the Cardinal Greenway in Indiana because that's my hometown trail. So let's see here. Hi, Beth. My friend and I are doing Pittsburgh to DC mid-May. We are camping 90%. The first hiker biker, Dravos, has a bad reputation with trains and raccoons. Did you stay there at all? Yes, we stayed at Dravos. That was our last camp. Yeah. And actually we got one of the shelter. We got the little like shelter hut. I didn't have a single raccoon in there. But we also are very diligent about not putting food near our sleeping. We still hung our food. I mean, people are like, you don't need to hang your food because of bears. We don't hang it just because of bears. Like I hang my food because I don't want raccoons and things in my and mice and everything. So I think as long as you keep all the smelly stuff away from where you're actually sleeping, you'll be better off.
I will say the trains at that site though were pretty loud.
Yeah.
They were definitely pretty loud. You were not very far away. I mean,
yeah. Well, trains on the whole thing. I mean, you have trains the entire trail. True. I mean, they're just if that bothers you, definitely take a pair of earplugs, but don't do like I did. I just got some little ones that I could stuff in there, and my ears are too small for them, so they just pop out. So I just
test that beforehand.
And honestly, if you just wear yourself out, you can sleep through anything.
It's true. Yeah.
Oh man. All right, we got a bunch of people on here now. Okay. So that didn't bother us. Dravos it's a great site.
It actually is a really lovely
really
site.
Fun.
Yeah.
Now had we been able to plan it differently, I actually would have wanted to stay at Round Bottom, even though we would have had to iodine the water.
Right.
Round Bottom, like I think Round Bottom was fun, and that was maybe 15 miles or so.
That one. I don't have
it's about 15 miles or so from that other one. But yes, you should definitely. Dravos is fine. Trains you're going to have trains the whole time, so I wouldn't worry about it. Did you say that? Okay. That planning isn't finished yet. Oh, he said that trip. Oh, yeah. He was talking about his trip to go all the way across to Illinois. He said it's not planned all the way yet. Well, if you plan in it and you want a fun trail through Indiana, take the Cardinal Greenway, and then once you get up north, you can cut across county roads towards like Chicago or towards whatever Illinois towns are over there. So, okay, let's see here. Okay, so we are Scott. We're from St. Paul, Minnesota. Oh, well, my aunt's from St. Paul. I love St. Paul. Riding the Gap from Cumberland to Pittsburgh on September 20th. That's near how we did it right there. Biking 4 days, taking a day off in Ohiopyle to White River. Yes.
Yeah.
So I wish we could have taken time off because I'm actually going to drive back to Ohiopyle and just hang out at Ohiopyle because Ohiopyle, I had a stomach issue at Ohiopyle, so I couldn't really enjoy Ohiopyle. But B, like, it is so cool through there.
It really is. Yeah.
That was probably my favorite spot on the Gap because it is just so much fun. So I'm glad you're taking an extra day because Ohiopyle is a lot of fun. I can't wait I'm going to go back just to hike and White River raft and all that fun stuff.
So beautiful there. So beautiful.
And that's not far from the Rowan Highlands. What do they call it? There's another great hiking spot through there. So also besides biking, I like to hike. Yeah. So, but that's a perfect time of year. September will be beautiful for that. I don't know about the rafting because I don't know rafting seasons and all that jazz, but it'll be nice. Oh, she says, perfect. We have planned to hang her food. Yeah. Yes, and you'll be good. Yeah. As long as you hang your food. I mean, we do it religiously just because, I mean, people probably made fun of us because we were doing bear hangs in some of those areas, but I think it's what you should do.
And there definitely weren't any like bear boxes or anything. Like, no. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe they might have something, but there wasn't anything. So you definitely have to plan to hang.
Yeah.
Bring rope.
And know how to tie a knot, which I made her do. I saw doing it.
Yeah.
So, I was not good at it. And now, obviously, you saw in the video, I was not good at throwing it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did get that.
But, the one place that I'm glad that we hung and we didn't have a problem hanging, because if you saw that video, when we came over the Pawpaw detour, there were probably 4 piles of scat on that trail, on the trail, fresh.
Yeah.
And normally I would be freaking out because I do not, I'm scared that a bear's going to eat me in my tent. It's like, but I know that's not going to happen theoretically, except for that. There's been instances. Yeah, but but black bear, but yeah, so we were glad that we hung our food. So it works. Let's see here. Oh, that's a little north. Oh, so you're going to go through Indianapolis. You'll probably just take the 40. Okay, but State Highway 40 probably. Cool. Awesome. So I did have a couple questions from, let's see here, some folks on Instagram. Okay, so Joe wanted to know, I would like to know how you conditioned for and at what point you thought you could ride 50 to 80 miles and get up the next day and do it all over again and not hate your seat. You know what? Did not have a problem.
I would say don't buy a new seat right before going. No. Like, make sure to have your setup consistent for like, a month or something before you go.
What do you have going for your seat? Tell them what you have going.
I mean, I have a Brooks saddle that I've had for probably at least 10 years. It's really well broken in.
And it takes a good 3 or 4 years to break in a Brooks.
Well, yeah, it depends on how often you ride, but definitely.
So she uses a Brooks saddle. So she also, you got fit for your bike when you bought your bike, right?
Not professionally, no.
Mm-hmm. She just fit herself for it.
Yeah.
So I bought my bike off of Bikes Direct. So I always tell people who are like, oh, you drive this fancy. No, I bought a $500 bike off of Bikes Direct, and then I've slowly added pieces and changed out pieces to that bike. So my bike, I went to a local bike shop, which does a lot of mountain biking. So they kind of know what I'm looking for, that I'm looking for a looser fit than road riding. So I went and Drew at On Your Left bike shop here in Louisville, Kentucky. He did a fit for me. So I found out like handlebars were way out here. and I needed to bring them in, and that's what was causing me to have some back issues while I ride. So once I got that and got a new saddle, which I do oh gosh, where is my seat? I don't know. I went through like 9 saddles before I found one that actually works. So getting the right position on your bike, even if you don't go and get fit for one, just knowing what feels good. Like if any part of your body is like pressing on that saddle besides your sit bones, like it's wrong. And you're probably going to have numbness. You're going to have numbness in your feet after, this kind of long rides like these, and it's actually can be dangerous for you to, if you're, to have that kind of numbness for a sustained amount of time. So that's how I wanted to make sure my bike worked for my fit. And then we ride a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's not just, I don't like put on a kit and go ride, 40 miles on a weekend or 50 miles a weekend. My life is riding my bike. So my bike is in that other room and I grab it to go to the grocery or grab it just to bike down to get a beer, bike to get dinner. Yeah. Basically, I would say if you're preparing to go for this type of a ride, just ride your bike a lot.
Yeah.
And ride it without using a chamois, without using chamois. Because it does work. Because I didn't wear a chamois. I wore chamois. Okay, so my rule was if it was over 25 miles, then I put on the chamois. But if not, then I would just wear whatever. So, and I never had a problem. So that's how we could do 50 to 80 miles a day. So I didn't.
But I would also say, like, you don't necessarily know if you're going to be able to do it. At some point, you just have to sort of say, I'm going to try it. And consider that, like, you might not make your mileage goals for a certain day. Like, you may have to be flexible. You may want to have some different options as backups just in case. Because we didn't necessarily, I don't know if we really had, like, an exact.
We had shooting for that day. But, I mean, if you guys know from watching the videos, we flew it by the seat of our pants. And I know people that will plan out their entire gap and C&O experience every day. And we didn't want to be tied to that because if we feel good and we can do 65 miles, then we want to be able to do 65 miles and not have to, we got to stop at 40 because we were going to stay at this Airbnb or this, we didn't want to be tied to it. And that's what camping allowed us to do is we could just freewheel and just decide that day where we wanted to go, how far we thought we could get. So I think because we shot for Harper's Ferry the second day and we didn't get to Harper's Ferry, we stayed in Brunswick. Yeah, we stayed at that Brunswick family campground. So we didn't get all the way to Harper's Ferry. So I mean, we were able to just kind of move and maneuver as we wanted to. So that was that question. So Joe, if you're on here, I hope I got you your answer. Let's see here. How's the water availability on the trail? So Jennifer, I'll tell you on the C&O, it's like there is a water pump a lot, but the one thing is some of them were not working. So I mean, we have that hiker mindset, so we pretty much don't want to run out of water. So we always have water with us. So if you're depending on like a specific water source, it may not be available if you're going to depend on the pumps, because as you get deeper into the C&O, for instance, like coming out of DC, you think there are going to be all these towns like right there, but they're not right there. Like nothing is right on the trail. Like very few towns, like Brunswick is right on the trail. Harper's Ferry is, across the bridge, but it's so you can see it. But a lot of these towns were just kind of like hidden off away from the trail. So if you want to get to them to get water, then you're going to have to, make sure the mile marker, the mileage, so that you can pop off at that certain miles. But the hiker biker sites make it easy to track the mileage because you know that this hiker biker site is sitting at this mileage. So, and you know that the town is before it, blah, 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 you know, so it makes it easy.
And we did have a list. You found a list somewhere.
Yeah.
Of the pumps that were broken.
National Park Service on the CNO.
So I would definitely look at that before you go, just to get a sense of like what might be out. And also I would say I was carrying water bottles, like 3 quarts. I kind of wish I'd been carrying water bottles, like just in case, because there were times that I wish I could have carried a little more. So I personally would recommend carrying 4 water bottles or the equivalent, you know, like a gallon. Basically, you may not always be carrying a gallon of water, but that gives you then some flexibility if you know you're going to have to go, you know, a ways.
And we don't mind carrying the water. We've already got a whole bunch of weight on the back of us, right? So, but so I did 2 water bottles, and then I had a bladder on the back that I would keep full. Now, I will tell you the problem I have is I hate that iodized water. And so I had trouble drinking it.
Yeah.
So I did have my little stuff that I would squirt into there, but even that got pretty rough for me. So if you hate the taste of iodine water, make sure that you're treating it or putting something in it that will make you drink it, because I kind of got dehydrated a couple times because I just hated the water.
Yeah. Some water definitely has a very strong iodine.
Yeah, at least on the CNO. Now, the Gap, I will tell you, Gap, it was harder to find free water right on the trail.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the towns, they did have water available, but you may have had to go in and go into their park or something like that to find the free water. You know, and then finding gas stations and stuff and filling up. I mean,
and we brought a you know, like a backpacker water purifier. We didn't end up using it.
No, we didn't.
It was kind of nice to know that we had it just in case. Yeah. I mean, you definitely, you know, if you get dehydrated, it's going to be really hard to put in any mileage. You know, you're just going to wear yourself out. So.
And you get to that section between Papa, like Hancock and Papa, and there's nothing.
There's absolutely nothing.
There was like nothing. It was insane. So I like to know that. I mean, we knew we were taken care of in those specific sections. And then once you get towards Pittsburgh, I would not drink the water in any of those streams. I would not treat water in any of that area.
So industrial.
It was a lot of mines and stuff. So that water is just. I wouldn't drink it. No. Anything past round bottom, I wouldn't touch.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's see here. We got some more questions. Okay. Do we get your water answer? Because it is available, but you do need to be cognizant of it and just always have water on you. So, okay. We did the Gap last July. We had a wonderful time. Awesome, Candace. That's cool. July, man. That would have been hot. Okay. So, okay. Professional bike riders. I ride loaded on my training rides, roughly 20 to 30 miles, 4 to 5 days a week. And then on longer rides from time to time. Yeah, that's perfect way to get. I mean, we pretty much always have some kind of pannier set up or bike bags on our bikes to begin with. So riding with loads of gear is not really anything to us. We also live in kind of a hillier area. So when we're training with those, it's a lot harder than those trails. So it makes it easier. Actually, the trails become so easy once you're riding on those hilly roads with the loaded weight. So
except for that hill, Cumberland, just outside of Cumberland.
Oh yeah, the fun hill all the way up to Frostburg. That was a good time.
That was a little different.
It's just monotonous. So, okay. So is our mile markers? So yes, there are mile markers, and there are. So because each section is kind of on the CNO and the Gap more than the CNO. It's like each region or each county maintained its own section. That's not the case on CNO. CNO, it's national parks. It's National Park Service. So those mile markers, but the Gap has, it's all those railroad markers, those railroad ties every mile. Yeah. So it actually made it hard because you're like, gosh, we're only done 2 miles.
You don't get a chance to space out and like not think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, mile markers are perfect through there. Let's see here. Craig is asking, what's the best ice cream treat along the roads? Oh man. Oh gosh, ice cream.
Had some ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah, we had ice cream in Hancock. It was the fractured banana in Hancock.
Yeah.
So I will say, and I put that in my video, everyone goes to Wagner's because everyone wants the pies at Wagner's. I walked into Wagner's and I was like, meh, because I wasn't feeling it. I wanted something different. So we went to that fractured banana and it had ice cream and everything. So I really liked that because it was right before we went into that pawpaw stretch. So it was like we doped up on ice cream and then
it was pretty much like ice cream for breakfast. I think it was like 10:30 in the morning. And we both got like, I think you got coffee and like some kind of chocolate ice cream. We were just like full on sugar, caffeine.
Which we needed.
We went in, we're like, we're gonna get that and that and that.
I think I got donuts too.
That's right, you got donuts, coffee, and ice cream. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you can get away with when you're doing this many miles. I mean, it just
my favorite thing was second breakfast. Second breakfast was the best because you'd come out of you'd be in your hiker biker site, so you'd eat your oatmeal or a bar or whatever, and I'd have my little instant coffee, and I'm just like, and so we'd go and we'd find these towns and be like, oh, second breakfast, yes. So I liked going into the towns. It was fun. So ice cream. I love that one in Hank. I think that was the only ice cream we had the whole time.
Really? Huh. I have to think about that.
I don't know, because we didn't in Cumberland.
That's true, we didn't.
And I don't think we did when we got into Ohio file.
Yeah.
A lot of the times we were rushing daylight at the end of the day.
True.
That's the thing, when you're doing more miles in a day, you are gonna, because you're camping, there's a lot more to it because you have to break down your tent, you have to put everything back in your bags, and then by the time you get on the trail, then you're going, and then so by the time you get in the evening, it's like evening sets in. You got to get your tent up, got to get dinner done, and then if you are close to a town, you can ride back to the town. The only thing is we were already tired. We didn't want to ride back to towns.
Totally.
So we didn't ride back to towns to have ice cream. So okay, so I answered that question. Okay, did you bring a filter? Yes, we did, and I did not drink river water.
No. We didn't end up filtering at all. We found other ways, but I'm glad that we had it.
Just having it as a just in case.
Even like having just a bottle of iodine, like just so that your iodine drops.
Just something, because I think there's like that pump at Round Bottom, but the pump at Round Bottom it's not even iodine. So all the ones on the CNO have the iodine, so you can just treat them. But so the pump at Round Bottom on the Gap is not. You have to treat it, and they have a big sign there that says that. So you won't mess that up. I promise. I mean, I would say bring a filter just in case. But if you have one, I mean, why not? It's not a huge amount of weight. Or if you have the iodine, I mean, it's like the bottle's like this big. So
and there were some pumps that like weren't broken, but they still like it was hard to get much water out of them. And they were coming and fixing them, but still just can't count on them.
And then with the river water, I mean, river water at your own, at your own warning. I mean, when you get close to a major metro, I probably wouldn't touch river water. But if you're away, like when you're coming down from the mountains, I mean, that's mountain water.
And there were creeks and stuff. I mean, we saw creeks.
Because when you're up on the Gap, you're literally coming across the Continental Divide. So one side, the rivers are going this way. The other ones, the rivers are going that way. So both directions, you have fresh water coming out of those. So I wouldn't be afraid to drink those in those instances at all. Okay, so what do we have next? Okay, Ron says, I bike commute to work as weather allows, and I do 50 to 60 mile rides with loaded bike on the weekends for training. Ron, you will be just fine.
Yeah, totally.
You won't have a problem. Yeah. I actually think the Gap and the CNO, I mean, minus the Pawpaw detour, and minus the stupid things we got ourselves into, like trying to go to an Airbnb on a really weird trail. Anyways, like those are things that we got ourselves into. But the Pawpaw detour, we couldn't avoid that. Now, some people take they'll get a shuttle around. I don't think that the Adventure Cycling Association tour was paralleling us at that time. But I think that they took a shuttle around. I don't think they did the detour.
Yeah.
Which they should have. I mean, I wanted to see them do it.
Right.
Especially, I think there was a tandem. I wanted to see the mom and son on a tandem do the but they weren't carrying gear either. So
exactly.
So Ron, you'll be fine. So let's see. I actually miss my bike commutes. My bike commutes used to be 5 miles each. So it's 10 miles a day I got bike commuting, and I always extended it to just have fun with it. So yeah. All right, Jennifer, good looking out. Okay, so Joe wants to know, hey, just saw you are live online. We went from Pittsburgh to DC a couple years ago in August to avoid the mud. I'm glad you did the ride. It's awesome. Yes, Joe, it was awesome. And I will tell you, we didn't have any mud.
We really didn't.
And there was a hurricane a couple weeks before, but we got lucky.
We were really lucky.
We got lucky. And then also, if you haven't done, like if you've done the CNO years ago, I think it's a whole different experience now because a lot of the surface has changed. Like there were great sections where it was like super fast, and I love the surface. The surface was better than the gap in some sections.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was definitely expecting it to be worse just based on things I'd heard. You know, what I'd heard, I thought it would be a lot worse, but
yeah, no, I thought the surface there were a couple, like going into Cumberland, it was like a little bit, but also going into Pittsburgh was a little like that too on the gap. So I think it's hit or miss on some of those little sections, but for the most part, I thought the surface on the CNO was great.
Yeah, and we weren't riding really thick tires. I mean,
we were both on 35s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we do have Schwalbe's so that we don't have any punctures.
We also lucked out with mechanical. We didn't have any mechanical issues.
We didn't have a single mechanical issue at all. I mean, we had zero mechanical.
We were prepared.
We
brought all our tools.
Yeah, we brought tools. I think we even brought, we did not bring a pedal wrench. That was the only thing we decided not to bring.
Yeah.
So everything else we even had a chain brake. We had everything, and we both know how to work on our bikes. So we were prepared to fix our bikes if we needed to, but we didn't need to. So, okay. So Joe also says, was the Pawpaw Tunnel open or did you cross the mountain? We had the ride, the hiking trail. They had closed the tunnel a month before. Yeah, so you should watch that video, Joe.
Yeah.
Katie curses.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I do.
And I cursed all the way up. I just didn't record myself cursing.
It was definitely rough. That was tough.
So we did the Pawpaw detour I actually think that the Pawpaw detour coming the other way was probably easier. It's steeper, that initial ascent, but it's only a half a mile versus us. We came up the backside. And so it's just a constant uphill, switchback. And so it took forever to get up.
Unravel too. So you're kind of,
but then going down, it was like super easy because it was so short. Once you got up to the top to that pretty lookout, which I loved that lookout. That was my favorite. That actually might've been my favorite part of the whole trip. That lookout. I love that lookout.
It was really amazing.
Definitely. It was just, after coming up that grueling switchback, and we walked our bikes. You can't ride it. Some people ride. Okay, so you could ride it if you weren't carrying 35 to 40 pounds of gear.
And I think if you had like mountain tires.
And you didn't already do 60 miles that day.
And it wasn't really hot. It was actually pretty hot that day.
It was hot. I remember because we had switched to sandals and we were like, gosh, oh my God, I'm switching to sandals.
Yeah.
So yes, we did the Pawpaw detour, but then we went into the tunnel and it was closed on one end. And then I freaked out because I didn't like being boxed in knowing I couldn't get out the other side. So I was like, let me out. So we went out. But I did hear that, and I keep checking on the site. So I think that the Pawpaw Tunnel is reopening at some point. But you need to check with the National Park Service for the CNO. They keep a record of all the detours and the closures. So they'll tell you instantly what's open and what's closed. And we actually did not have a single reroute that we had. Like we didn't have to get completely off trail on the CNO. There were a couple of washed out bridges where you had to take that low bridge, but that's been like that forever. Like, I don't know how long.
What about that one where we had to go up on that road though?
Oh yeah.
What was that? I'm trying to remember where that was, but
oh no, that was on the Gap.
Oh, that was
and that was part of the official route too. It was just narrow.
Okay.
It was when we went into that small weird town where we had to take city streets. Yeah.
Oh no, I was talking about like after that. Well, never mind.
Yeah,
that part where we're along the canal, and then we had to go up over.
Oh yeah, that was the detour. Yeah, so that was the one detour. We it was after a big slackwater. We had to take a detour and then come back in, but it was really well marked. Just
it was.
I would say just keep an eye on the CNO, National Park Service site. And you have cell service for most. I mean, there are very few places we didn't have cell service. So you'll be able to check that kind of stuff the day you're doing it too. Yeah. So let's see here. Yeah. Hey, is that Frank? Hi, Frank. I think that's Frank. Hey, hi. What was your longest ride of the trip? The day we did the Papa detour. Yeah. Because we're glutton for punishment.
I don't remember how many miles that was exactly, but yeah.
But, and it was, we didn't know if we were going to do the Papa. I mean, we thought we'd do the Papa detour that day. We were aiming for it, but we were like, well, if we don't hit it, then, there are sites on before it, and then we can do it the morning.
There was also a storm coming in. I remember we were worried about being over that mountain while the storm was coming in, so we weren't sure.
We had heard that there was a storm coming in, so we were like, well, we don't want to do that wet. Yeah. And I was like, we don't want to get up in the morning, with a wet tent and then have to cross dirt trails, like, walking our bike up and over a mountain. So that's why we decided to do it. So we only did, that was a 60-mile day. Yeah. Probably 63 miles. We also do not, I don't keep track. I don't put them in. I don't have the route. I mean, I have a pedometer thing, but it doesn't work half the time.
Oh, your bike computer.
My bike computer does not work half the time. So yeah, but we knew we had started at this hiker biker site, and we got to Purslane run. And so we kind of knew the distance with those. So that's how we kind of kept distance. So 60 was all the longest we did, 60 plus. And and carrying a lot of gear, that's probably good. I mean, I know a lot of people that if they're not carrying the gear, they'll do 100-mile days and do centuries, and you can do it on that. Definitely. It's easy and doable.
Yeah, if you're getting up early and just going.
I mean, we weren't going to get up at 6 a.m. and ride all day and then just.
I mean, that's the funny thing is if you're camping, you almost kind of naturally get up early because it's usually light. But then it takes you a while. Like, I mean, we're getting up pretty early. I feel like we're probably getting up at like 6:30 or 7. Eat, by the time you break down, I mean, I think we're probably rolling by
9:30,
9, something like that.
Yeah, because I remember on the last day we were like, "Wow, we're out of here really early." I think we got out at like 8:30 in the morning. We were like, "We haven't gotten out this early."
I think that day I just didn't bother to like repack everything really carefully because I knew I didn't have to worry about it.
We knew it was just going into the car. Because that was the last day. So
most days you want to be really careful about putting things back in the same place so you're able to find them the next night.
Yeah,
but then at some point you're like, nah.
So if you're going to bike pack, just know that you have to pack your gear. Like you have to be so anal about where you put things, or else it becomes a hot mess. Like I actually used dry bags. So I had certain dry bags for certain areas on certain things. Like I had clothing that I only wore at camp, and they were my like dry, soft, comfy clothes that never touched anything else. Clothes. Yeah, and so those had to be off on their own in their own little bag, so that nothing else, so that like I didn't drop any food on it, or I didn't want it to smell like anything else. So so just having like each little one.
And you also want like your panniers on each side to be balanced, so you kind of figure out where everything needs to go so that it can be balanced.
Yeah, Joe says the CNO was a muddy trail when we did it. Oh man, that would suck because I can see how if the CNO is muddy, because in some so my favorite sections were some that everybody probably hates, because I loved when it was like 2 trails with the grass in the middle.
Yeah.
And it was so pretty in those sections, because a lot of times you had all this wildlife going on, and I just love those sections. But I could see how if those have been wet, it would have been rough.
Yeah.
So, but I've heard that they've paved even more of the CNO since we were on it.
Oh wow!
Not paved. They've put that new. So they put down this stuff, and it looks kind of blue. It kind of has like a blue-gray tint to it. But that is, so you get to like mile marker 30, and you pop on that stuff, and it's just like zoom, zoom.
It's almost like asphalt.
Yeah,
and it's like loose asphalt.
And it's smooth. There's no punctures, no holes. You're just like flying.
You're suddenly going like 20 miles an hour. Even weighted, we were like going almost 20, or even maybe over 20 at some point.
I'm not allowed to say that, because I think the speed limit is 15.
Oh,
but that's okay.
You can bleep me out, right?
Yeah. And of course, there's no way you can come down from the mountain on the gap and go, because we were just like trying to not fly down the mountain. Right. But you're going to fly down this mountain. So it's fine. But the CNO, there were no hills per se. You're just straight the whole time. There were she would say once in a while, oh, look, we're going uphill. And I'm like, we are, but I feel like we're going straight.
Yeah, it was very gradual.
So, all right. So what do we got there? Frank says, hi, I'm waving to you. We know Frank. So Beth says, how did you do your shuttle from Pittsburgh to DC? The bike tickets. And I will say, when we planned to do the Gap and CNO, the first thing we did was set our dates and buy our bike tickets, because there are only 8 on each. So on the Capital Limited, which goes from Pittsburgh to DC, there is only 8 bike tickets available per train. And so, and the day we went was a Saturday. It was actually Saturday, September 11th. And there were 6. There were 6 of us. And I think they had originally had 8. I think 2 just never showed up. Yeah. So people do buy those just to get them to buy them. So if you're going to go and you don't have your bike tickets, get your bike tickets, because they and we went off season, because kids were already back in school. We kind of wanted to go off season. I didn't want to go in the middle of the summer, because I didn't want to deal with if we needed a place to stay, not being able to find a place to stay because everything's crowded, everything's too booked. Also, I've heard in the summertime that the Boy Scouts fill up those hiker biker sites. So I didn't want to have to run off by Boy Scouts, because I needed to camp there. Right. Because I've been like, no, you guys get out of here. I'm camping here. So
the Amtrak was amazing, though. It was so great.
I had never been on the Amtrak.
Right, it was our first time. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And I was spoiled, because it's a double decker. So like the gear and stuff's on the bottom, and then you go up to the top where you sit. And even we were in the coach, I guess. I don't know, whatever. We didn't have fancy tickets. Right. We didn't have a room.
We didn't have a private.
We just had seats. But the seats even had you could put your feet out, and they had plugs. They had plugs for your phone.
Very roomy. It had a couch almost.
A dining car with these huge windows.
She was in the dining car the whole time, just looking out like, whoa.
And I was looking, and what's cool about riding to DC on the Amtrak is you can see little pieces of the trails in small places. In some of the places. And so you're like, oh, that's our trail. And so you get kind of a sneak peek of what it was like. So
I do have to leave really early in the morning, but it's also kind of cool, because as you're pulling out
the sun's coming up.
Pittsburgh, the sun is coming up. And so, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I did not, we were grouchy and grumpy, getting up at like 4 a.m. to go get the train. Yeah. And we had the world's worst Airbnb that night. So, don't ever trust when they say that they're going to have bike parking or bike secure bike accommodations on the first level. Don't trust them. And then they put you on the 3rd level, and then you end up having to walk your bike.
We carried our bikes up 3 flights of stairs.
We carried our bikes a lot
in our gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never think you're gonna have to do that, but I've definitely done a lot of other bike touring, and I would say think about what you will do if you have to carry your gear.
Yeah.
Like, just think about that.
Yeah.
Like if that means bringing an extra stuff to put your tent or whatever else.
Yeah.
Or just maybe an extra strap to carry your panniers. Like, you never think you're gonna do it, and every single bike tour I've done, I've had to at some point.
And then one question I got too from somebody, I can't remember, it was on another video, but he asked me, like when you put your bike on the train, they don't watch your bike. They don't put it up there for you. You have to load your bike yourself. They watch you. They make sure you're doing it, but they also, like, they're under the clock. They're like, tick tock, get that bike out there.
You gotta be ready. It's true.
So if you're gonna keep your panniers on, your bike bags on, you got to know that you can lift them up because you're vertical, like, hang,
right,
where it locks in. So you've got to be able to pick up your bike and put it on that vertical hang. There were horizontal ones, but those were for different bikes. Like if you had a regular road bike, or like we have steel bikes, so we had to hang our bikes. So we did take our panniers off and took them to the car with us.
But then they actually locked that whole bike car, so nobody could get in there, which was kind of great. Like, we left a lot of stuff.
And we could walk by and see our bikes hanging.
Yeah, you could like look in the window
when you walk down to the restroom. You could be like, "Hey, bike."
Yeah. But I was like worried beforehand because, you know, they'll say like you're paying for your bike ticket and then you only get so many bags. Yeah. But you can just leave a ton of stuff on your bike, so you don't have to really worry.
It was really loosey-goosey.
It was pretty loosey-goosey.
Because we tried to even call beforehand, and like you couldn't get anybody at Amtrak to answer the phone, and then it was like 3-hour waits on their call system, and you're like, I just want you to tell me if I can take my panniers off my, so they don't answer a lot of questions. So it's best to just do it and ask questions later. Is what I say. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Okay, Joe says that's the best when on single track. Yeah, he said he liked the single track thing. What were you talking about? Joe, how much did your bike and gear weigh? I did not weigh it. My bike is heavy and my gear is heavy. So if I were trying to
I probably could have lifted my bike.
You did, though. I got it on video.
I did.
You lifted your bike.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were definitely heavy. I mean, we were definitely, when you're rolling, it's not a problem. Totally, yeah, when you have to push your bike up a hill.
Yeah, or go over something. If you have to lift your bike.
We did have to do that.
So because Katie had done a lot of touring before, she did teach me that trick that you need to, like, if you're going to push your bike, you needed to support the front and then put your hand under the seat in the back, because then you're able to support that back weight. Because we did the bad thing, and a lot of people have front panniers and back panniers, and we just had back panniers because I can't put panniers on the front of my bike because I have a carbon fork and it doesn't allow me to do that. But so I just have the stuff on the back. So it means everything's back loaded. So you have to, watch the weight on the bike.
It's really, the whole thing wants to just tip over.
It weighed a lot. Yeah. We were not very limiting on anything. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I got to cut ounces on this so I can save. No, we didn't care. It's just, we're going to push it. Whatever it is, we pushed it over a mountain. We're fine.
Yeah. Amazing what you could do when you have to.
Like, literally, we had to go over that mountain. So it's like, I'm just going to push it. It's fine. And even if you're tired, so what? You still got to push your bike. Now, I can tell you, if the Pawpaw Tunnel had not been closed, that would have been a much easier trip. Because when the Pawpaw Tunnel is open, I think it would have just been picturesque and an easy roll. We probably would have done another 15 miles that day, So, I mean, that's just, it's the, it is what it is. But when you see the Pawpaw Tunnel and see the cliffs on the side, you can see why they have to do so much work on those banks, because, I mean, the sheer, I mean, it's just like, here's a tunnel. Here's a mountain. Yeah. So it's insane, but it's really beautiful.
It is beautiful. Absolutely.
I mean, the Pawpaw Tunnel was dedefinitely the prettiest of all the tunnels. It was gorgeous. So let's see here. What else do we have? Okay. Here's a question for us.
Oh yeah.
Have either one of you ever toured the Katy Trail in Missouri?
Next on our list.
That's next. So we're doing the Katy Trail this year, later this year. We were actually talking about dates right now. So we don't look. So the one thing you'll know about, I'm never going to tell y'all when I'm going anywhere. So it's just, I'm not gonna divulge my dates of when I travel. It's just, that's a security thing for me.
Right.
And the only people that are going to know when I'm gone and how I'm gone is my family and friends.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely.
But the Katy Trail, we're excited for the Katy Trail.
We are.
We haven't gotten a whole lot into the Katy Trail yet. I mean, I know it's a great trail, and I've watched a lot of other people do the Katy Trail. But I do not know a lot about the logistics of doing the Katy Trail. We would like to do it similar to what we did the Gap and the CNO. We'd like to drive to a point where we can take the train and then drive back to our cars. Yeah. We logistically, honestly, I think that's the best way to go. I loved being able to take the train to start. Yeah. And then once you're done, you're done. You can just go home or enjoy your time, stay and enjoy and relax, and not have to think about racing to get back. Because if you've got a train schedule, you've got to keep a train schedule. And I didn't want to keep a train schedule. I didn't want to have to race to get to a train.
And even though we had like a rough sense of our dates, like we did have some flexibility, we weren't tied to that train. Yeah. So that just really reduces your overall stress, I think, to not have like this time that you have to be somewhere.
Yeah. I just had to be back to work the following Monday.
Right.
So
that's not a big deal.
I quit. I'm just going to ride my bike.
You pretty much were saying that at the end.
So if there are any multimillionaires or billionaires on this, and you're wanting to support two women to just ride their bikes around the world,
we are open to sponsorship. Absolutely.
Hit us up. We're all about it.
We are.
Okay, so yes, we're going to do and Craig also asked, what's your next trip? Yeah. So I actually have a trip before Katy that I'm going to do. Actually, we've got a couple things. We're going to do some weekend bike trips. We're going to do all of it. We're doing it all. But actually, so my nemesis right now is the OTET, the Ohio to Erie Trail, because I've tried to do it 2 years in a row, and I ended up doing some of it. With another friend, but we couldn't do the whole thing because of time constraints. And then I went to do it in 2020, and we all know what that was like in 2020. Nothing happened. So I'm actually going to do that one solo. So that will be my first adventure into solo bike packing. And I have decided I'm not going to camp on the OTET, because the OTET is there are a lot of places to stay on the OTET. And actually the OTET is not as developed with camping options as the other trail systems, as some like the Katy or the Gap and CNO. And so I will be staying in a lot of inns or hotels. There are a couple of hostels. There are a couple places to stay like that. So I'll be doing that. So I'm gonna be light and fast on that one. I'm hoping to put in my first century on a trail on the OTET. So we'll see. Okay. So professional bicycle riders, he says we will love the Katy Trail. Joe says, we've planned a trip on the Katy Trail, but COVID hit. Yeah, man, we understand that, because that's, it happened to all of us. Yeah. So he says he can't wait to see that video. There are some services that drive you back to the trail on the other end. Yeah, I have heard, so they have bike service now. I don't know if they had it when you were on it, Joe, but I do know that now they do have bike service, I think from St. Charles to wherever I haven't done my research yet. So we know there's a train available. So I want to take every train I can possibly take, because now I'm addicted to trains.
Train nerd. I love it.
I'm going to go stand by railroad tracks and take videos of trains. That's going to be in my next YouTube channel, guys. But I'm going to have a Denise looking out and then Denise watching trains. So I'm going to love it. Okay. So, all right. What other questions do you have for us? I think I had one more. I had a question from a YouTuber. Trying to think of what his question was. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Oh, Ron, you're on here. You had asked me about camping on the between Cumberland and Pittsburgh. So the Gap is not as cool as the CNO as far as when it comes to free campsites. It does not have a lot of hiker-biker sites. There are hiker-biker sites, but they're few and far between. And also, you take less. I think you take less time on the Gap, so it's like. But there are plenty of camping options. Stealth, I don't know that there's any good stealth spots on the Gap.
Yeah.
I mean, you maybe if you went off trail and went down, but I'm also afraid of a a property owner sticking a gun in my tent.
Yeah.
So I'm not a stealth camper.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a good one to ask. I'm a chicken about stealth camping. But I do love Round Bottom, which is it's after not Confluence. It's after I should have brought my map in here.
Yeah.
Anyways, but Round Bottom, and then Dravo's were the two that we noticed right on the trail. There were, I think there were two more.
I think there were.
But then we of course stayed at Ohio Pile. That was not free, but it was reasonably priced, so it was fine. And it was again, we like to push our bikes up hills. Obviously, that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, that was another tough one.
That was one I was cursing.
You were definitely cursing. Yeah,
I was done with that day.
It was rough.
Yeah. So also, that's the thing I will tell you. You have to know kind of what you want out of your trip. We were looking to experience the trail. And that's what we wanted to experience. And we wanted to experience the camping aspect of it. If your thing is you want to be able to go into a lot of towns and eat and do all that fun stuff, then you're going to need shorter mile days. Because we were putting in more miles and doing a lot of trail stuff, but not a lot of town stuff.
Right.
Like we didn't do a lot of towns, but then again, it was Delta variant. We didn't feel comfortable in towns a lot. Yeah. Let's see here. What else we got? Okay. So, there's Joe. Do you have a certain speed you try to maintain on the trail? Not really. I mean, you have a certain cadence that you're comfortable with just generally riding. I think that's what you try to maintain is just a nice rhythm with your cadence. If I were to guess, I would guess that when we were on most of the sections, we were probably going 11 miles an hour.
Yeah.
To 12 miles an hour, and then we got going like really good on some of those downhills. But then there were sections.
I don't feel like we were like really pushing ourselves to go.
No.
We were just trying to find like a nice speed where we felt comfortable. Like what sort of speed where you're like, I could go all day at this pace. That's the pace you want.
Now I will say, coming out of Cumberland up to when we went up to Frostburg, because we had already put in 30 miles to get to Cumberland from where we had stayed on the CNO, and so. When we got to Cumberland and we kind of celebrated, got more food, and then hit the trail. By then it was already 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon when we decided, okay, well, we're just going to go up to Frostburg. Hey, there's a storm coming, but that's okay. We'll just figure it out. So we started going up, and it was just like monotonous, like uphill.
Like 5 miles an hour.
I think we looked, and I think it ended up being we were going I think we had a 7 mile an hour pace. I think on that. So we still,
it was also windy up there. Yeah.
7 mile an hour, and people were coming down and they were just flying by us.
Wow.
So, but also going up. So, the Gap in that section, because I don't know if it's because of the mountains or what, but it's very loose. Like the surface is very loose. So we had to just find a line that wasn't as deep with the I don't even know what that was, because it wasn't a limestone. It almost felt like sand.
Yeah, you would kind of spin out sometimes if you weren't careful.
Yeah, so that we had to go a lot slower on. So your speed's going to vary a lot depending on the surface you're on or whether you're going uphill. The one thing that was always fun is on the CNO, you get to the locks, and so you go downhill and back uphill.
Yeah,
downhill and back uphill.
Get a little speed for a minute there.
So I actually loved going through the little locks because it was fun. Yeah, either you could take the low, or some of them had a high route, and you could take the high route.
Yeah,
so it was fun. So speed, if you're into speed, we
took a lot of breaks too.
I mean, there were were people. Now I noticed coming out of DC, there were a lot of people just flying down the trail, but they also were really light. Like they had like really light bike packing gear. They didn't have like they weren't camping. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
Or if they were camping, they had the lightest gear possible, like the ultra light backpacking gear.
Well, we also saw people with electric bikes too.
Oh yeah, e-bikes. E-bikes are great. Actually, I have two of my friends actually did the Gap and CNO a month after we did on e-bikes, and they did it just fine. So, and they never had a problem with batteries or anything like that, and they did not carry a spare battery. So, because those are heavy.
Yeah.
So, let's see here. Okay, so maintaining. Ron said so. Plenty of pay camp. Yeah, there's plenty of pay campsites, and honestly, you pretty much always have service, so you can always ping it and check to see what's around. Because I know that there were like when we got into Cumberland, we were trying to find camping up the mountain, and that was kind of challenging. And then we saw that there was a campsite in Frostburg at the trail inn that they had a campsite, but when we got up there, I was done. I wanted to sleep inside. And it was a nice reset. We got to wash things.
It was cold up there too.
And take a shower. And that storm was going to come through. So we're like, I'm not sleeping outside. But their campsite was nice, but everything was up the mountain. So when you do go up there, when you're on the Gap, the higher you're up, the higher you are, the more likely that wherever you go to sleep at night, you're going to have to go uphill. Because
and there might be rain, or
maybe downhill. I actually really like Mayorsdale. Like Mayorsdale, that's where we had a really good breakfast. We had breakfast that was, we had lunch, but it was like breakfast, and it was like a huge amount of food, and it was great. But I liked Mayorsdale. I thought that little town was really cute. Lovely. It was like down the hill too. Everything's either up the hill or down the hill. So you're gonna be going up or downhill eventually. So what do we got here? Cell service. I think the only spot we didn't have cell service was near Papa. That was the only spot up near that detour, and that was just between Hancock and Papa. Like I said, that is the most remote section of the entire trip, and that was like we
barely saw anybody else.
Because so it's also us wanting to stick to what we were doing, because we stayed on the CNO, and a lot of people cut over to the Western Maryland Rail Trail because out of Hancock, or right before Hancock, you can pop onto the Western Maryland Rail Trail, and that is paved. So a lot of people just go and fly down it. There wasn't a lot of traffic on the CNO, but we wanted to be purists, and we wanted the CNO experience, so we stayed on the CNO.
And it was cool to be on there. There was like nobody else on there, and there were like deer, and I mean all these. It was beautiful.
So much. You wouldn't think you're going to see that much wildlife, but you do. You see a lot of it, especially if you're into turtles. Turtles and birds, and it's just amazing. I love it. I love it. So all right. So yes, cell service. Okay. I think y'all did the hard way going across the Continental Divide. Yes, we did. We did the hard way, but I'm going to contend that we did the great way to go, because when you come from DC to Pittsburgh, it's a whole different experience than coming from Pittsburgh to DC. I do want to, so when probably within the next 10 years, I will do it the other way. And like I said, I'm going to do it and stay in hotels and inns and stuff when I do it that way. But coming from DC, it's like you're transporting through time and coming forward in time. Like if you're a history buff, like I love that. I love that aspect. It's just old, newer, evolution, and then industry. Like it was neat. I enjoyed it.
Plus it's amazing because you have this really rough hill coming up from Cumberland to Frostburg, but then once you hit the Continental Divide, you're going downhill for like
the entire
60 miles, 70 miles. I don't even know. Like you're going downhill forever. It's amazing.
Well, it's a gradual downhill all the way pretty much towards the outskirts of Pittsburgh. So it's
so much fun.
I'll take a 20-mile climb if it means I get a day and a half of like downhill. I'll take it all day long because that 20 miles, we started at 2:30 in the afternoon, and we got to our hotel by what,
6:30.
Yeah, so I'll take that.
It really was, even with all that weight. It wasn't. I mean, it was hard, but not.
It was hard, but it was pretty because we stopped every, I would say probably every 5 miles, we were stopping and looking at how gorgeous everything was. Because unlike the next day when we were stuck in a cloud and it was rainy, we, when we were going up the steeper section, we just stopped a lot. We stopped all the time. And it's not such a hard grade that it's like, oh gosh, I can't pedal. You know, you can pedal at a decent pace. I mean, we pedaled still
patient with yourself.
Yeah, but it was monotonous and it was kind of crazy. And we did curse a little and be mad at it for a minute. But then we would look out and there's like gorgeous mountains and a farmhouse with this like gorgeous setting fields with mountains in the background. I mean, it was something that made you think that you were in Europe or you know, somewhere like you were transcended to some other place. So I don't mind the hill. I say we went the right way.
I think so.
Let's see here. Joe is asking, does it hurt to get back on your bike after having been on your bike all day the day before for 8 hours? No.
Honestly, no.
No. But we ride our bikes all the time. Like,
it's true.
Our rear ends are broken in.
Yeah. So, I never felt like I didn't want to get back on the bike.
No.
Like we were every morning.
I never had any, my rear end never hurt. My legs never hurt. The only thing that hurt for me was my shoulders and arms from holding, especially on the bumpier sections, holding the bike. But, you know, I think in the video you see us do this a lot, and that's why.
It really helps.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll say is do some planks before you go, because that was the only thing that was sore for me, was that. Like, everything else was doable. And I'm solving that because I'm learning how to climb. I'm learning how to rock climb right now.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that'll help with the upper body. So yeah, no, it did not hurt. You just need to know that I was saying this earlier, you need to know that your bike fit is right, and that you're putting in the miles to make sure that your rear end can handle it. I mean, we ride our bikes all the time, so I'm so used to hopping on my bike seat. And then 8 hours, I don't even think anything about the 8 hours. Like, I was never sore.
No.
But we also take a lot of breaks. Like, I don't know how often we stop to just drink water or look at something or just get off the bike, but we were on our own time schedule, so we just got off our bikes a lot.
And we had basically, I mean, I remember us agreeing before the trip, like, anytime you need a break, ask for it, don't feel shy, and same with me. Yeah. So, like, we would take breaks when Denise needed a break, and then when I needed a break, even if it was like 15 minutes later, like, so, you know, that's just kind of our relaxed pace. Yeah, I can see if we were really pushing ourselves, and you could probably, you know, really hurt yourself, you know, but we were really trying to just enjoy the trip, you know.
Absolutely.
Take it easy.
And I mean, if you're worried that you're not gonna hold yourself to that, you know, make a plan to like stop at every lock, you know, or every dam, you know, because there are locks and there are dams on the CNO, everything, and then because they don't have that on the gap. So you would set a mile marker or something that you would stop to do that with. So, I mean, you can set your own intention of how often you stop, but stop a lot, you know, and then your butt won't hurt.
It's true. Yeah. Give your body a break. And make sure to stretch a lot.
Yeah, we stretch a lot.
You know,
I like to stretch.
Your neck, your arms, your back. Just really take the time to take care of your body. And if something's nagging you, like, listen to it, because it's not going to get any better 30 miles later. It's not going to work itself out, probably. I'm
going to give this away, but we're both in our 40s. So I'm not gonna play with my health or my body. So I like to stretch a lot. Yeah, every time we stopped, we were stretching. Like, that's just something you always do. So so stretch a lot, because stretching works. And I don't know about your bum. You're just gonna have to get that ready.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Okay. Joe said he had cell service almost the whole time. Yeah, we did too. We never had a problem with cell service at all. Joe said, would you ride to Antietam battlefield from the trail? Or yes, you can. Or can't. He said, could you? Yeah, you could. Actually, I said that before. We were paralleling the adventure cycling tour, the Adventure Cycling Association tour, and some of them went to Antietam. Yeah. I hear it's a road route, so if you're comfortable on roads, you could go. That wasn't our jam. I'm not into it.
Yeah, we were already carrying so much stuff. We didn't really want to add on a lot of extra.
No, I wasn't. I wanted the CNO and Gap experience, so I stayed on the CNO and Gap. The one thing I did want to do is in Ohio Pilot, go see the famous waterfall.
Oh yeah.
But
the Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah, the Frank Lloyd Wright house. Yeah. But I did not. We didn't.
There's just so many cool things to do. I mean,
I think some of that. I mean, if you want to take like a month off and really do it right and stop every like 5 miles and then go off on these excursions, I mean, you could have a wonderful time because there's so much cool stuff that you can go see. So, but we just kind of stuck to the trail and did our thing.
Yeah.
So, okay. So Joe says, I need to put kitties to bed. Oh, all right. Thanks for coming on, Joe. We appreciate it. That's awesome. Let me see here. I'm trying to think. What are some questions that you got about when you told people you did this CNO and Gap or you're going to do this?
I think people just overall were so amazed that you could do something like that. I mean, I think people were just so, like, how would you? A lot of people were like, well, how would you even figure out how to do that? And I was. I mean, it's not a thing, but I think most people just can't wrap their brains around like that distance and actually riding your bike,
Yeah.
So,
I will say so we used the map a lot, like the map that came with the Gap guide.
That was really helpful.
And that was from the Gap Association, their trail map and their trail guide. But we didn't touch the guidebook.
No, we really didn't.
We used our nose.
I don't think we really needed to.
We were just have it with us. We were just like, oh, let's go explore down there. There's got to be a restaurant down there or something. I mean, we just didn't use that book.
We talked to other people on the trail. I mean, there's a lot of friendly people on the trail that we met, which was really
we would ask them, hey, where did you go to eat? Hey, what's there to eat? And we just, and a lot of times we would just stumble. I mean, I think that's the best way. I love stumbling upon things, and because. So here's the thing. Everybody has an opinion about what's the best thing on the Gap, what's the best thing on the CNO, blah, blah, visit this, go to that. Everybody has that list that you have to go to this place. Mm-hmm. Your experience is your experience. So whatever you're into and whatever you want to do, that's your Gap experience and that's your CNO experience. Because we didn't do some of the things that a lot of people want to do, or we did other things that I think people really should do. Yeah. So it's like your experience is your own. So just kind of feel it out and, just like walking into a famous bakery and saying, nah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And then so I will say, and I'm going to preface this, that sometimes people give you their opinions and you don't really want them. But I had heard bad things about a couple of the towns, like not to go to those towns because they are this or that. I won't even get into the specifics about what was said, but there was warnings with going into these towns. And you know what? We went into these towns and they were nothing but lovely, except one town that we didn't even get warned about. Yeah. but the other towns, like, they were lovely and the people were amazing and the food was so good. And
everything tastes so much better when you've been riding your bike all day. So hungry.
So good. So just have your own experience and talk to a lot of people and don't be afraid to, ask people questions, and feel them out, because honestly, there's so many good people in this world. Like, I have no qualms with asking anybody. Mm-hmm. You kind of get a vibe. I mean, there was a vibe. We were coming into one town, and there were these sketchy folks coming into the trail. Do you remember that? And we were both like, ooh. And so, so trust your intuition and your judgment. That's what I'll say. Because that's what I would do. All right. Anybody got any last questions before we pop off of here? I will say I got all kinds of questions from my friends and family about what you and Katie are going to go do this trail alone, 2 women by yourself. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, we are. And then you get all kinds of questions on how will you protect yourself? Are you taking somebody to protect you? No.
No.
I'm just going to ride my bike.
We were fine. We did fine.
We were just fine.
Yep.
Also, the one thing is if you're a woman doing this and you get a lot of people telling you, in your ears, just don't listen to them. I stopped listening to people a long time ago when they said I couldn't do something or that I shouldn't do something. I just don't listen to them. I pretty much just do what I want. I don't have limitations. Other people have limitations and they try to put those into your ears and I just refuse to listen to them.
Yeah.
What do we have here? I didn't catch the beginning, but did you talk about what you did for conditioning? So Joe, we talked about it just a little bit. We talked about we just ride our bikes all the time. And now we were once it was starting to get towards the trip, we did increase to longer rides and then we rode with weight. So we do recommend if you're gonna have camping gear and stuff on your bike, definitely load your bike and practice because it's just the weight of it. If you've not done it before, the weight, and it's just getting used to it again. Like when I do my first bikepacking weekend here in a few weeks, I'm gonna still be like, oh man. So it's just getting used to that weight. And so practice with weight and then practice distance. That's all we did and then I just ride my bike a lot. So instead of taking the car, I ride my bike to go to dinner, to go have a beer, to go get groceries. That, you know what, there's your best conditioning because your groceries are going to be heavier than any bike packing setup. I'm telling you it is, because by the time you put milk in there and canned goods, it's heavy. So if you can actively go to your grocery store on your bike, you're set. You can do it. So, but I think you can do it anyway. Like it's just, you just have to just practice and ride your bike a lot. Get that butt on your seat, basically, a lot. So, and the one thing I said at the beginning is I also did a thing where I did not ride with my chamois. I didn't ride with my bike shorts for rides that were under like 20 miles. And then anything over like 25, I would wear my chamois because I wanted, to make sure my butt was in shape for the trip. So there's more than you ever wanted to know. All right. And then Scott says, what was the trail by your house you first talked about? Oh, my hometown trail where I grew up is the Cardinal Greenway in Indiana. It's in East Central Indiana. It's 62 miles long, and it's all through this beautiful farmland. I took her there, and she was like, "What?" She thought it was going to be this really crappy trail, and then she took it, and she's like, "Oh, this is really pretty.
It was really lovely. Really amazing trail."
I have videos on if you go to my YouTube, there's a bikepacking video on there from the Cardinal Greenway. So go do it. I love the Cardinal Greenway. They always say, Denise, you're such a good ambassador for the Cardinal Greenway. I know, Cardinal Greenway folks, hit me up. I want to be your ambassador. Jackie says, loved your videos. Thanks. Did you ride Clifton? Oh, that's a good question. So no, we're flat. We're flat pedals all the way. So I don't clip. I've never clipped. She's tried clipless.
I do. I sometimes do, but
I like the freedom of flats because I pretty much wear hiking shoes on the bike, especially on these types of trails where it's limestone or crushed limestone, and then having to climb over the Towpath detour. I just wanted really good shoes, and so my pedals are really solid, and your foot kind of gets locked in there pretty good on my flats. Like I didn't go with some cheap pedals. Like I found good pedals that really lock your foot, so you get a little bit of lift when you're going up, so you're not working so hard.
My pedals are pretty wide, and they also have like these almost like little spikes that come out of them that kind of help grip your shoes. But I would definitely say like on the C&O, I mean, the surface was pretty good, but I really wouldn't want to be clipped in on it personally, just because like you might have to hop off at any time, and we were stopping a lot, and I don't think I would have wanted to be clipped in.
No. I started out mountain biking, so I was always a flat pedal mountain biker. So I like to be able to just step off really easily, and I don't know that my brain works with clipless. So like trying to click them out.
Different.
So I'm definitely a flat pedal girl. So I hope that helps. And then I also pushed up that Ohio Pile. Freaking Ohio! Wow. I mean, I didn't put that in the video, but I had this whole rant. It's like going up that thing about how Ohio Pile, come on, get with the program. Where is our campsite at the bottom? Because I know they had talked about doing the campsite at the bottom, and I'm like, this is ridiculous to make us climb up this hill to go to the. And then, by the way, so you get up to the top, and you know this, Jackie, but like you get up to the top, and those are the walk-in sites. But then where you pay is around on the completely other side of the campground. So you're tired, and you have to go bike over there to make sure that you get the spot that's in one of these walk-in sites right by the trail. It's just, I don't know. They need a better way.
And what was really unfortunate, I think, for us is like we got to Ohio Pile and like it was starting to get dark. Yeah. And so we didn't want to stop and eat dinner there and then have to go up that hill and have it in the dark. So we ended up going up to the campground, and then we didn't feel like coming back into town.
No.
So we kind of just missed whatever would be great about town. It's like you're just missing all that.
And then that's when I ate the dreaded camp meal.
That's right.
Yeah, the dreaded camp meal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That was not a great day. There was a lot of grumpiness that day.
But yeah, so Ohio Pile, not my favorite. I mean, I love Ohio Pile, but I hated that setup.
Yeah.
But now if you're getting ready to do this, anybody out there, and you get to Ohio Pile, there were so many guest house, so we biked around the town just because we wanted to see if maybe there was something else that we were missing. And so we biked around the town, and there were so many of these little guest houses where people had turned their houses into guest houses. So there was a lot of like staying options if you didn't want to camp. But we kind of, we had stayed in an inn the night before. So we were just like, we bought all our camping gear. We kind of need to use it.
It also wasn't entirely clear to me in that moment whether they were like really friendly to bicyclists, like whether they bring their bikes in. Like they seemed a little like fancy, you know what I mean? Whereas we were like kind of sweaty and dirty and had, I mean, it's a little different whether they're going to be like really embracing that. Like I wasn't strongly getting that vibe from any of them. Yeah, I don't know that for sure. But
and because we did it like we did that, like that first day getting it from Washington, D.C., when we got in, and we didn't know we were going to be able to eat that night.
Right, true.
Because we were like looking for places that would deliver, and then we tried to get Grubhub. And I don't know if y'all get this, but when you're tired and hungry, like your brain doesn't work properly. Like it doesn't. And we're just like, I don't know how to do this, but I just want to eat. Can we just? So I just started, luckily our Airbnb had a stack of like menus. I started calling them, do you deliver here? Do you deliver here? And one was like, yes. I was like, okay, we'll take
whatever you have.
I don't care what you have, just deliver it.
Calories, yeah.
So we ate Chinese that night.
Yeah.
So it was good.
We did.
So it's cool. All right. Chris says, enjoy your future trips. Looking forward to the coming videos. Yes, they should be fun. And I do a lot of other like fun videos too. And I'm actually trying to get more into the backpacking. Katie went with me on a backpacking trip. And so I'm hoping to get a few more backpacking trips in the summer too. But I also have a little, he's over there snoring right now, but I have a little senior beagle that's kind of special needs. So it's hard to get away from him, and I can't take him on the bikepacking trips or on the backpacking trips. So that's why you see me do a lot of hip camps and just drive in. So I'll have a lot of those trips coming up too. So yeah. All right. I think we're winding down. If anybody has one last question, I'll take a last question. If not, I think you guys are making this first live video fun, because I didn't know how it was going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I hope some of these folks get out there and and get to experience the C&O Gap because I want to do it again. Really, I mean, I have so many more I want to do, but like I would totally do them again.
Oh man, my list just grows. I don't know. So my list. So I have a lot on my list. So the ones coming up in the future, I'll just tell you right now. My list is getting the rest of the OTET done, the Katy Trail, the Empire State Trail.
Oh yeah,
in New York.
Yeah.
I want to do the 700 miles on that, and then I want to do the Eurovelo 15. So that's Holland, Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, on the Rhine River. So I want to do that hopefully in 2024, 2025. I don't know. We're going to have to see what Europe looks like. So that one I'm still like playing it by ear on. But I definitely want to do the Eurovelos. No problem, Joe. I'm glad you could come on. Sweet. Thanks. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end this. I did hit this so that it can do replays, I think. So hopefully if you know anybody that is interested and wants to hear us babble for an hour and a half, it'll be here. So thanks y'all for coming on and having some great questions. I really appreciate it. And happy trails to you. Keep me posted in my chats and in my community on what you're doing, because I'm always interested too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jennifer. I hope you have a great trip. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
How do I end this? No, I'm going to push the button. Not yet. Yeah, it's ended. There we go.